Good afternoon. Welcome to the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the cloudy but beautiful confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey, reporting to you the sports news that you've been looking for and the hard-hitting facts that you've been searching for. As always, I would like for you and hope that you like, share, and subscribe. Again, I want to thank everybody for the support for the show. The outpouring of support has been tremendous, and I just want to thank everybody for everything. Whether the messages, phone calls, texts, all the love has been appreciated. And I just want to thank you guys and continue to support, and I will continue to provide the content that has been needed. So, I want to get into it. No further delay. I want to get into the NBA play-in tournament games from last night, and boy, it was some good-ass games last night. Definitely. I'm going to get started with the Warriors and Kings. Obviously, probably the biggest news of the day. Shot out. Light the beam. Light the fucking beam. That's what I'm talking about, Sacramento. Great game. The game I was hoping I, like other Kings fans, we all were hoping that game was probably last year, but I digress. Great game last night. Keegan Murray was phenomenal. I believe he had 32 points. Phenomenal. Shot the lights out the gym. He had hit 8 3-pointers last night. I mean, I knew last year, had this kid showed up, we would have won. I know De'Aaron Fox has suffered a thumb injury. There was a lot going on where it was just like, Game 7 in Sacramento. Steph had one of the greatest Game 7s of all time, shot the lights out the gym. And you just understand that sometimes that's going to happen, especially when you have a player of Steph Curry's magnitude, a guy who's been that great, who's played at a high level for a long time. You just understand that those things happen, but boy, oh boy. I mean, I just touched on some of this yesterday, guys, and I was just saying some of the keys to the game, and, it's crucial. One of the things that we talked about was that defense will have to be crucial for the Kings. Domantas Sabonis, 11 defensive rebounds. Can't understate enough how he has had a phenomenal year this year, triple-double magnet. He's definitely been better on the defensive end. That's definitely something from last year to this year that's transitioned where I felt like there's been a major, major improvement. Shout out to Sabonis. 34 defensive rebounds for the team, which was amazing. You needed every last one of those to win that game. 10 steals coming, 6 of them against Steph Curry. Again, I'll take every last one of those. It was definitely needed. Defense was outstanding last night. Guard Steph with your life. 6 turnovers, as I stated, and probably one of Steph's worst efficiency rating games. He was negative 21 from the field. So, 22 points. Steph did the best that he could, but, we all kind of knew that he was carrying that team this whole year. They weren't the Warriors from 3 or 4 years ago. The team that just, once they got up on you, it was over. They buried your ass, shot the lights out, and you just had to hope that, it ended quickly, But, great game, but Steph just, it was too much for him. Looking forward, minimizing Draymond and Klay Thompson. Guys, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to state this very carefully. I never thought in my wildest dreams Klay Thompson would have had the shooting performance that he displayed or didn't really, for lack of better words, he shit the bed. I mean, 0 of 10 from the field, 0 points. To give you guys a picture, walk with me on this one. Klay Thompson has only been held scoreless 3 times in his career prior to last night. Now, most of you, if you're a diehard Warriors fan, you probably already know this stat, but the average casual fan, I'm assuming, doesn't. So I'm going to tell you the answer. Prior to last night, 3 times. All 3 occurrences were during his rookie season. They got to get off Klay Thompson. It's that simple. Past prior 5 games, he was averaging around 22 points a game. He was looking good. They had confidence. Everything was looking great. They kind of felt like the switch was being flipped. And I always said this to my brothers and a lot of my friends and constituents, anybody that knows me when we talk sports, that the one thing that you can never say, and I think it's overrated, is when you hear someone say, oh, well, they're just waiting for the postseason. Oh, they're just going to turn it on. You don't even worry. Once the postseason starts, they're just going to flip the switch and everything's going to be great. Wrong. That team the Golden State, a lot of the things that we're talking about is based off legacy. Yes, they had a winning record. Yes, prior to last night going into the game, they were tied with Sacramento record-wise, 10 games over 500. Yes, they had played some hard games early on and dealt with some injuries, Draymond's knuckleheadedness, all those things in between, it raining on Jupiter, all those things, all the calamities in the world befalling upon them, and they still were in this spot. Yes, that's a test and a credit to them, to their prowess, to their Hall of Fame caliber style of play, to the championship style of play that, the standard they've created in Golden State. But I must reiterate, and I need people to understand, this team's old. This team's old. They're going to have to make major adjustments this year to really understand that, you cannot run this back. This is what's going to continue to happen with this current iteration. You cannot win play-in tournament games. You lost several years ago against the Lakers. And people, and I'm not even talking about last postseason where you lost in the second round to the Lakers. No, I'm talking about 2 years prior. We gave them a pass because they won that championship a couple years ago, and we kind of didn't really realize, pay attention, missing the playoffs, losing play-in tournament games, getting in, barely getting out the first round, losing horribly in the second round. It's time. It's time to hit the button. So, all that being said, more credit to Sacramento's defense and how they played and, what it took to really do that. Draymond showed up. Draymond gave you 12 points, 6 assists. Draymond, let's be honest, guys. Draymond's career average, I believe, is like 7 or 8 points per game. Draymond could do this for the rest of his damn career. Another 3-4 years of this, and no one will bat an eye or sneeze. He'll still be doing. Now, granted, I don't know if the antics, I don't know if that lasts another 3 or 4 years. Now, that'd be something to consider. But gameplay-wise, just as an NBA basketball player, whether it's in Golden State or wherever, that production will still be warranted 3 or 4 years from now. So, shout out to Draymond for doing his job in that part. Looking back at it, looking at some of the things that the Warriors missed, they got out-rebounded on the glass. They're a small team. And I don't really understand. You kind of got rid of a lot of your size with a lot of these trades and moves because, it was, for lack of better words, it was kind of like a Les Snead moves, F them picks. And I get it. I mean, when you're competing for a championship, yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you got your foot on the pulse of what's going on. And, hey, we're competing. We're right there. We're neck and neck. We're in contention. Everybody wants to be in contention. Everybody wants to compete. The things that I don't think people really realize, though, is when you give up that much draft capital, when you persistently have just thrown away picks, or just the draft picks didn't work out. Wiseman. I mean, if Wiseman had been anything that they thought he could potentially be, or they given it a little bit more time, who knows? I mean, because granted, he's not really working out too much in Memphis. I don't know, but they've missed on a lot. They've missed on a lot of draft picks, and it's caused them to, because of their success, it's something that got mitigated, it got missed, it didn't really get noticed, but now it's kind of like, okay, now it's a glaring need. Wiggins, trade bait. Yeah, he's got to get the hell up out of there. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Andrew Wiggins. I don't even want to speculate, y'all, because I ain't into that whole speculation business. On this show, I like to provide facts, and that being said, 12 points, 2 assists, 1 of 4 from 3, garbage. That shit is not getting it done against any good team in the Western Conference. He has been inconsistent all year. It's time to cut your losses and, yeah, get up off him. Kuminga and Moody showed up, but too many open threes. I mean, I can't tell you how many times Sacramento would come off the dribble, whether it be Keegan Murray, whether it be Fox, whether it be Monk, whomever it was. I mean, just wide open twaps. Twap-a-roo. You got to figure, if you're Golden State, one of your tenets, one of your fundamentals is defense. It's over, y'all. Nonetheless, Looney was damn near unplayable. 4 fouls. I mean, Kevon Looney, I hear so many analysts and bear with me because I don't want to go on a rant or a diatribe, but I hear so many analysts talk so much shit about how Kevon Looney is such a good role player and he does his job and he takes out the trash for the Warriors, he paints the house, he power washes Steph's car. I don't give a damn. He ain't giving you the production offensively that you need. The rebounding was there. Gave you six or seven rebounds. That's cool. What are you giving me on the offense? And it's nothing. Chris Paul, or the artist formerly known as Chris Paul, or the corpse that is residing in Golden State, formerly known as Chris Paul, I'm just going to give you this. His efficiency rating last night on the floor, -15. -15. So obviously he's not going to be there next year. I didn't understand the move when it was made. I kind of understood where it was like, hey, we're going to try to do something a little different. It just seemed like it was all grasping at straws. It was all just a wild reach in the dark. Chris Paul is shot. And I'm not mad at him per se. I think he probably still has some game left, where he could come in and, give you 13 assists and a couple steals and some rugged veteran play and, some cheating ass veteran play. He's prone to hitting somebody in the nuts or elbowing somebody. So, again, no digs at Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul, Hall of Famer, no rings, but I think he's a great player. With that being said, though, this experiment in Golden State failed. And, this roster is going to be shaken up. We kind of, I think everybody who has, eyes and a brain, who watches basketball or even understands the sport of basketball can see this roster will not be the same going into next year. Klay's probably going to be gone. I know popular convention is that Draymond's probably going to be gone. Guys, I need y'all to really understand. 12 points, 6 assists, 2 of 4 from 3. He hit 2 more damn three-pointers than Klay Thompson gave you the whole game. So Draymond has a propensity to show up in big games. So as long as that continues to happen, like I said, I don't know about the antics. I can't speak for that. I ain't a damn mind reader. But outside of that, I think he stays. That being said, a lot of work for the Warriors. A lot of work. Shout out to the Kings who played the Pelicans Friday night, which we'll be getting into that game leading in. Nice little segue. Lakers and Pelicans. I kind of went over this roughly in my continuation video, which I apologize, guys. My battery, which shouldn't be an issue today, my battery had died in the midst of while I was recording, speaking on that game. When you get a chance, check that out. That's definitely on the channel. But ultimately, I said some of the keys for the game was AD needed to be dominant. For so far this season, he had been shooting 58% from the field. His free throw percentage is up. His defensive rebounding was up around 9 a game. And, he was going into the game questionable with a back injury. So you kind of knew, all right, might get that AD that's, 20, 15, 20, and 20, if, who knows. And lo and behold, that's what we got. And AD played well. He got going. He stayed consistent throughout. Defense, I think because of the back, was lacking on some plays, but the rebounding was there. Shot out to D'Angelo Russell. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I'm not trying to BS y'all or be funny in no way, shape, or form. I think D'Angelo Russell is one of the top 10, one of the most inconsistent basketball players in the NBA. This kid, when he's on, he is fucking on. You're talking about 21 points, 5 of 11 from 3. And this is coming off a big game against New Orleans 3-4 days prior. He shot the lights out then. So it was something for him, and I guess because, prior to being with the organization before or, having teammates with the organization before, he steps up for that game. I don't know. Maybe it's the food, the women, the weather. I don't know. D-Lo, do your thing, baby. Do your thing, man. You played well. Hachimura and Reeves showed up. That was crucial for the Lakers. They needed their three-point shooting. They needed that efficiency from them. They needed those guys. It was kind of weird because, Hachimura, it's funny. When they're playing, typically if Hachimura has a quiet, good game, Reeves' stats are a little bit bigger and vice versa. So, last night, Hachimura had 13 points, 2 of 2 from 3. Crucial. I mean, you can't even, 2 of 2. I mean, that's just flat out. That's what you want. You take 2, you hit 2. That's cool. That's 6 points. We got it. All right. Reeves, 16 points, 2 of 5 from 3. Again, more of a shot taker from 3-point land. But again, if Reeves just hit 2 and he's got 16 points, that's a good game. You'll take that. Defense would be crucial. And I didn't think that was an understatement going into this game, but I got to give the Pelicans credit. It was a game. It wasn't a game until late in the third, fourth quarter. They were getting kind of pushed around. They were trying to play fast, trying to, play up-tempo basketball. And a lot of young teams do. I get it. You're playing an older team. You're not really better than LeBron or AD. You don't really have the skill set to really beat those guys one-on-one each matchup. So you got to try to outpace them, have a little quicker step. Try to do little extra things, little nuanceical things to, knock them off their game. But Zion Williamson, damn, 40 and 11. Is this kid snake bitten? It just seems weird. Like, we got a 70-game season out of him. He played well. He looked pretty consistent enough. Many 20-point games. Average, I think, was like 23, 24 throughout the season. Gave you consistency, Played well. Gave you arguably one of his best games. Definitely the first postseason game, of his career. It was definitely one of his best games. And then to see him with that hamstring injury. I'm not going to lie. As a Sacramento Kings fan, that's great news for us because the Pelicans aren't beating the Kings without Zion. So, be that as it may, though, to stay on topic. Zion, I'm praying for you, bro. I hope that you heal up well. I hope that, it's not anything, that's going to derail you for next year. But if you do mind missing this game, that would be great. But all joking aside, we'll see it. They're going to find out later on today with some MRI testing how the hamstring looks. I doubt that he plays Friday, guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Usually with hamstrings, that takes about 4 to 5 days. If he gives it a go, y'all know that he runs the risk of re-injuring again, which could cause further or incur further damage. So kind of think they're throwing that out there as a tactical move. Don't really think he's going to play in that game Friday night. They sucked from 3-point range. I could not believe. When you've watched the Pelicans throughout this year, pretty consistent from 3. They've done their job through most games. Not every game you're going to be great from 3-point range, but to be 30%, you suck. You suck. And it just, you can't shoot 30% against the Lakers and think that's going to help you beat them. I'm going to beat LeBron and AD and Hachimura, Reeves, and these guys, and I am building a house on the side of the court. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So credit to the defense for the Lakers. And again, the Pelicans defense, I want to give them their props. Their defense was much better than what it was 3-4 days ago. But again, you kind of caught fire late. Zion gets injured. It knocks the sales out the building. The game was kind of hinged on Alvarado hitting some big shots, which he did. Give credit to the homeboy. He hit his shots. But, where are my Ingrams? Where's my McCollums? Where are these guys when I need these guys? I need these guys to step up and do more. And maybe they just gave a lot more on the defensive end, so that limited them offensively, but I doubt it. Honestly doubt it. They're just not equipped to beat the top, echelon talented teams. And I know the Lakers weren't ranked that this year, but anybody with a damn brain knows if LeBron and AD are on your team, you're probably more than likely better than the team you're playing. It's rare that they're not better than the team they're playing. So, again, credit to them. Shout out to the Lakers, man. Like I said, they're going to go see the Nuggets. Everybody swore they were going to be afraid to see the Nuggets. Everybody thought they was going to be ducking the Nuggets, and we're going to get a good series early. I'm going to give my predictions on that later in the week, but I kind of think that, this might benefit the Lakers to catch them early. But Jokic is playing at a monstrous level. But Jamal Murray, it's going to come down to Jamal Murray. What Jamal Murray we going to get? And from there, we'll see. leading into that now, we will be going into our 32 teams in 13-day segments, actually 9 days now, because now the draft is again fast approaching. As I've explained to some of you guys, I'm not sure if you saw on the show yesterday or if you were prior on the first episode, but I will be hosting some after draft coverage, talking about the picks in the first round, my opinions, and if I thought they were good or bad picks, things like that. You'll be also it'll be a live feed, so you'll be also welcome to live chat and comment. By all means, we appreciate any of the support, any of the feedback, anything that's going to help the show grow. I definitely will warrant it. So again, thank you. Going into, we're going to start with the Tennessee Titans. Tighten up. Anyway, 6-11. Rough year. Mike Vrabel. I kind of felt like Mike Vrabel was just trying to do the best that he could with the best of what he had left. John Robinson, prior GM, the genius who traded AJ Brown, he left the cupboard a little dry for my man Mike Vrabel. So Mike Vrabel struggled a bit last year. No excuses. He's a veteran coach. He's been there for 6 years. No one's gonna cry a river that he lost his job. But I kind of feel like that was a little unjust. Having said all that, the Brian Callahan era has begun. I'm interested to see, with his offensive prowess, how that affects the team. Coming from Mike Vrabel, who has been defensive-oriented, offense kind of lacked more running game, big plays here and there, taking shots down the field, to Brian Callahan, which is more spread you out, attack, seams, attack, the spaces, things of that nature. So it'll be interesting to see the offensive attack for the Titans. But having said all that, new offensive coordinator Nick Holtz is coming in. They have my man Denard Wilson, who was the defensive backs coach 2 years ago in Philadelphia. He was the defensive backs coach for the Ravens a year ago and is now the defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. So shout out to Denard Wilson for finally getting his opportunity, getting his moment in the sun. And you guys got a good one down there in Tennessee. Denard Wilson's a motivator and a leader. Guys in the Eagles, you can check Eagles.com. You can check any, affiliated web link or page or, article up here in the Northeast. Anything on Denard Wilson was positive. No one spoke badly about Denard Wilson. They all spoke about his communication. They all spoke about his leadership. So you're getting a good one there as far as defensive coordinator. I'm anxious to see how he looks. GM Rand Carthon, as you guys know, he's second-year GM coming back. Big year for him. I felt like last year he kind of got a mulligan because, of the shit show that John Robinson had displayed the year prior, just, getting rid of any talent, whether it be A.J. Brown, Kevin Byard, obviously Danico Autry leaving this year, just it didn't really matter, If we had talented players, it just seemed like Tennessee's front office said at some point, you know what, we've kind of, homegrown some of these guys, we've cultivated them, but we think we could do better. I don't know how much better you could do outside of A.J. Brown, Danico Autry. We'll see if they replace Kevin Byard. I think they can, but it's going to be interesting to see how, because they didn't really do a good job replacing him last year. But again, Rand Carthon is going to have this pick of the litter this year because going into the draft, they have 7 picks. Now, interesting enough, they have 3 in the 7th round. So I have a sneaky feeling that is going to be trade beat. That's going to be a lot of movement for the Tennessee Titans this year. Going into it, they have $30 million in cap space. And they spent definitely some of it. They definitely used it. And again, I know a lot of people are going to be like, why in the hell did they spend all that money when they don't even know the quarterback situation? They don't even know how well Will Levis is going to play. I'm going to tell you straight up. Follow the mantra, Tennessee, that Philadelphia and that Green Bay did. Put some young talent around your young quarterback. Get him some skilled players. Put him in position. See what he can do early. Because within the first year, hell, the first 6 months within his first year, you will be able to determine, okay, this kid, we could do something. Mike can do something. So I understand what Will Levis, the situation that the Tennessee Titans and Will Levis were in. We got to kind of give him some weapons. DeAndre Hopkins is there, 1,000-yard season again. D-Hop doing it again. Damn it, I feel like I can help D-Hop get a 1,000-yard season at this point. It's just, you got to give credit to where credit is due. Still putting up top-notch play. Hall of Famer, definitely when his career is over. But some of the key points I wanted to touch on. This team definitely needs some reshaping. And as you can see, we're going to touch very soon on their free agency acquisitions. They needed a facelift. They had Ryan Tannehill, they had Derrick Henry. They obviously, as I previously just stated, lost some guys. From this year and the year prior. Free agency, in-season trades. Waiver wire deals. They needed a facelift. They needed a whole regroup or remasking or uplifting of what the franchise needed, because it just seemed like everything ran stale last year. It just seemed like the message was kind of getting through, but because you have Ryan Tannehill, who is one of the most inconsistent, and don't get me wrong, the man's accurate. He's a game manager. Yes, he can play the game. If you think Ryan Tannehill is elite or a top 15 quarterback, I know that you smoke something that is probably illegal. And it's probably, crack. So we'll just leave that at that if you think he's an elite quarterback. With that being said, Will Levis is going to have to prove his seat to God, because obviously Ryan Tannehill leaving. I've kind of made my jokes about Will Levis with his whole, mayonnaise in the coffee and, eating a banana with the skin on and the mayonnaise thing. And all joking aside, the kid did show some promise last year, a little bit, not too much, but, some promise. And he showed that he's tough. He's got some moxie. He can make some plays, but I need Will Levis, and he don't have to take it from me, because, I'm just a, guy with a YouTube podcast. Anybody who cares about Will Levis that may hear this or, just shoot this past them. Stop trying to run head up with linebackers and safeties. Your career will not last in the NFL trying to run up against linebackers and safeties head on. So, and again, I grew up watching Favre, Roethlisberger, Cunningham, Steve Young, guys who scramble, Michael Vick, guys who scramble, made plays, improvise. Patrick Mahomes, I get it. Sometimes you definitely need that. You got to be tough and physical. And there are times that is warranted. This guy, and if you all think I am lying to you, by all means, YouTube it. Look at the footage. He will try a linebacker or a safety head on. And in the NFL, that will cost him games. It will cost him seasons. So, very interested to see how that works out. Looking at the free agency tracker, a lot of big moves, as I just stated. They had $30 million left in cap space, but they originally had 60. They spent some of that $30 million. Biggest acquisitions, some of the most notable ones, L'Jarius Sneed. They needed a corner. I mean, they haven't had a corner for a while. They've needed one. This guy's been playing peak, top Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber style play at cornerback position. They tried to, I don't know who it was. Somebody tried to throw it out there about the bone-on-bone thing with the knee. He had to answer some questions at his press conference about the knee. I'm going to be completely honest with you. The knee been looking that damn fine for the past 2 years. He's been in the Super Bowl. He's been playing at a high level. He's been playing at a high level throughout the regular season, playing at a high level throughout the postseason. So I think that was somebody who just had sour grapes that probably wanted him at a lower rate or probably wanted him to reduce that number some. Yeah, no, that wasn't happening. So shout out to L'Jarius Sneed for getting your money, bro. Tony Pollard from Dallas. Interesting in the aspect of Tony Pollard is from Memphis, so I get it. He's from Tennessee. Interesting in the aspect of you lose Derrick Henry, and your response is a running back coming off a season where he was recovering from a torn ACL, and he looked like he was still recovering from a torn ACL. Maybe it's home cooking. Maybe the environment will be good for him. Maybe it's just energy in the building. He spoke about that on their Titans.com team page. He spoke about how the energy in the building is different. He's glad to be a part of this. I don't know, but I'm going to say this much to you. Dallas is not in the business of letting go of good running backs. So, be that as it may, Calvin Ridley. This was probably the fucking sneakiest low-key move of the whole offseason. Bear in mind, give you a little backstory. I won't digress. Jacksonville and Calvin Ridley were basically going through contract negotiations. Calvin Ridley had been waiting for Jacksonville to provide a substantial offer, an offer of some substance, to make him feel good, to show him like, hey, we're thankful that, we waited, we were patient, we waited a year. You provided great play for us, even though our quarterback play was hella inconsistent on Trevor Lawrence's part. They waited too long, in my opinion. Trent Baalke has had a history of messing up these moves where guys are mad or not signing back for the deals that they want and articulating it in the media prior to camp or within free agency. And again, by all means, do your homework, research, Google it if you think I'm BSing you, but he has a history of this, and it cost him. It cost Jacksonville big because he went not only to a division rival, but he got big money. So, shout out to Calvin Ridley. Much needed, good receiver. I thought he was going to possibly be in Philly a couple years ago, up until he had that betting scandal, and I think he didn't. But again, it wound up working out. We got A.J. Brown. Calvin played that year in Jacksonville. Now he's got his big money now in Tennessee. He's definitely going to get utilized, especially with him and DeAndre Hopkins. It's going to be phenomenal. The offense, if Levis just does what we think he can do, if he can just be competent, they have the capabilities to be 8 to 10 win team. But again, I don't want to make any predictions right now. We're just more or less looking at the season up to this point, off season up to this point. I'll make those predictions after the draft. They also were able to bring in Chidobe Awuzie, the corner from Cincinnati. Sebastian Joseph Day, defensive lineman from San Francisco. Rotational piece. You always need good defensive linemen. And Nick Folk, they re-signed him. And also Kenneth Murray from the Chargers brought him in. It was the most notable signings. And Mason Rudolph as well, brought him in from Pittsburgh. Didn't think, kind of was, you can never have you can never have a bad backup or too many backup quarterbacks. We know now in the NFL, anybody who's watching, especially if you saw the NFC Championship game from a couple years ago between the Eagles and Niners, you need backup quarterbacks. Hell, the Eagles Super Bowl run in 2017, 2018, you need a backup quarterback. So, Mason Rudolph, not really my cup of tea, but again, serviceable. Possibly what Brian Callahan's looking to run. He's familiar with them, so really understand there. And another low-key move that the Titans made that I got to give credit for and want to make sure that I notate. Leroy Watson was acquired in a trade from the Browns. Good tackle, good rotation piece, guy who can play the position. Somebody that can help Will Levis stand upright, hopefully to dissuade him, for lack of better words, for trying to run up against, linebackers or safeties, head on, So, looking at some of the other notes, their offense was pretty damn bad last year. Pretty damn bad. They were 26 in starting field position, which, when you're in the bottom 4, bottom 5, that just lets you know you stink. You're not good. You're not good. So, defense was 31st, as previously stated, but that was not total defense. I want to make sure I stress emphasis. They were 31st in time of possession, which means you're not getting off the field. And you were 26 in points. So definitely a lot of work to do on the defense. That's why the L'Jarius Sneed acquisition was good. Sebastian Joseph Day, rotational pieces. Still a lot of work to be done. The draft is going to be a huge weapon for them to continue this. I say they have 7 picks. The draft is going to be crucial for them to add more talent to that defense. A lot of bad offensive football. So, they're definitely going to add another weapon there. Treylon Burks. Boy, Treylon Burks. It's unfair sometimes how criticism can befall us, how sometimes, we just walk into circumstances, situations, whether it be a job, a relationship, and sometimes things just ain't going to work out. It just, no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, it just ain't going to work. Treylon Burks was the kid who was involved in the trade that sent A.J. Brown to Philadelphia. Essentially, A.J. Brown was swapped for a first-round pick and given his contract that same day or the day after, however it worked out with the league office. But in any event, Treylon Burks was the pick that Philly has sent to the Titans, the pick that wound up being sent to the Titans. And it's time to put up or shut up. He has not been remotely close to anything that they thought production-wise he could replace, which goes to one of the reasons why John Robinson got fired. It's now a damn viral meme where you see Mike Vrabel in that neck twitch, when A.J. Brown got traded. It's John Robinson screwed him. John Robinson screwed him, you know. So I don't, if you kind of noticing my theme as I'm going throughout this video, I don't really have too much blame for Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel did the best that he could with what he had. You know, Tannehill was one of his guys, so I don't really have too much empathy. I'm not crying a river for him. But at the same time, the defense was horrid. And that being one of his calling cards, I can understand why it was time for, you know, new blood or a new move. But Treylon Burks, man, put up or shut up. It's time, baby. Now, leading into their top 30 visits, preparing for the draft. Now, very interesting. As I just stated, they kind of need a lot of defensive help. Looking at a lot of their top 30 visits, off top of the head, I know they had Jarvis Brownlee Jr. in, Kalen Carson from Wake Forest. You had in Chris Abrams-Drain from from Missouri, not Notre Dame. Pardon me for that. And you also had Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama in for a top 30 visit. A lot of cornerbacks. Malik Neighbors also was in for a visit. J.C. Latham, offensive tackle. Ironically, they only had 3 tackles for a visit, and the 3 tackles for a visit were Joe Alt, as previously stated, J.C. Latham, and Jordan Morgan from Arizona. So very interesting that they've only had 3 tackles, which kind of lets me to believe that Brian Callahan kind of realizes I'm going to need to keep this kid upright and protect him. So don't be surprised, Tennessee. I know you're kind of thinking maybe wide receiver or corner might be the sexy pick. Now, and again, I'm not your draft room, so I'm not saying that that's what I'm saying is God or gospel. But it just seems like to me, offensive lineman might be that pick. You might need to replace, you know, Taylor Lewan, you know, get those extra linemen and keep the pool going. I mean, you see it in Philadelphia all the time. They draft linemen. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the draft, waiver wire, it doesn't matter. Grab linemen, build them up, cultivate them, produce. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Titans address their draft. Also interesting, too, they brought in 2 running backs in for a visit. And obviously, no more Derrick Henry. Obviously, he's departed to the Baltimore Ravens. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year, but I digress on that. Rasheen Ali from Marshall, running back, good running back. He was brought in for a visit. And also Marshawn Lloyd from USC. So very interesting to see how the Tennessee Titans address their offseason needs and draft needs within the next couple of days. Could be an offensive lineman in my personal opinion, but seems like they want to definitely address a playmaker position or a defensive player position, corner. I mean, honestly, with as bad as the defense was last year, you couldn't really go wrong or be mad at that selection. So, nonetheless, the next team that we are jumping on our 32 teams in 13 days segment would be the Atlanta Falcons. The 7-10 Atlanta Falcons, who at the start of the year had a ton of promise because the hope was Desmond Ridder was going to take the next step, that the offense was going to progress, that things were going to get better in the aspect of, Ridder was going to take baby steps in the beginning, but he was ultimately going to grow and blossom and get to where he needed to be the player that that Arthur Blank and that Arthur Smith hoped he would be. That being said, that did not happen at all. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL last year. It was just too much inconsistent quarterback play, like way too inconsistent. Which led to, obviously, the firing of Arthur Smith. The man, Arthur Smith. There's a joke me and my friends have up here. We say it a lot. Arthur Smith is one of the great, and I'm being facetious when I say this, but please bear with me. Arthur Smith is the only coach I know that could turn a skill position player into a lineman. Arthur Smith turned Kyle Pitts into one of the best off-brand, not known, didn't even know he registered as a damn right or left tackle in the NFL. How in the hell do you got this kid doing inline blocking? You don't have him. Again, anybody who played fantasy football knows what the hell I'm talking about. Arthur Smith, good riddance. That being said, Raheem Morris is finally getting his chance again. Raheem Morris, if you remember, defensive coordinator for the Rams, helped them win the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Also was a Buccaneers coach way back when during the Josh Freeman era, which seems so damn long ago. My God, Josh Freeman, that's a name to bring a skeleton out of the closet. But anyway, Raheem Morris is the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, he'll be running the organization now, leading the team. New offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson. one of those, lack of better words, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan tree disciples. So I'll be interested to see how the Falcons offense is going to look this year. Defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake. I'm interested to see how he has a defense looking. We're going to touch on some of those defensive stats from last year. I think this defense is primed for a jump, but I think the offense is primed for a bigger jump, so it may actually snuff out what I think might happen, but we'll touch on it in a second. Having said all that, GM Terry Fontenot is basically looking to make another splash this year. He made great selections last year with Bijan Robinson, offensive, player of the year. Bijan was just phenomenal. Again, it seems that Terry Fontenot has a grasp on what he's doing. His drafts haven't been bad. They've been solid. So it looks like that they're definitely going to make a selection. They have 8 picks this year in the draft, which is going to be crucial for the Falcons. Only $5.7 million in cap space, and that's obviously because Kirk Cousins and some of the acquisitions, they made a lot of guaranteed money to Kirk Cousins. So be that as it may, that kind of ate up a lot of the cap space. But, they had to replace Desmond Ridder. It's funny because I remember a lot of analysts, those who shall not be named, who were very big and bold and had their chests and shoulders, broad and out and peacocking, for lack of better words, last year. Oh, Desmond Ridder is going to be great. I even remember a lot of analysts stating that this guy was going to be better than Jordan Love. So keep that in mind. Desmond Ridder was horrible. 26 in offense. That's not anything that, when you're 26 in offense, you're a bottom 4, bottom 5 team. You can't win games. You're not generating or sustaining long enough drives to even attack the defense. So be that as it may, they had to make a change. So I understand the Kirk Cousins addition. Defense was ranked 18th. And I repeat, defense was ranked 18th, which you kind of saw late in the year with Calais Campbell and Jesse Bates and some of the plays they were making. You were like, wow, this defense is really starting to come on. Having said that, though, looking at some of the Bears, stats, their pass rush was way too inconsistent. 42 sacks, not horrible, but in the NFC and especially the NFC South, those offenses that you're playing, those attacks, excluding Carolina right now because, they ain't got shit right now. But you're going to be facing a lot of offensive attacks where you're going to need that defense to be able to get to the quarterback. But ironically, they were third in the NFL in third down efficiency. So something to work with, something that defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake, I think, will be looking forward to. Coaching this defensive squad. I think that, he has some tools and some things to work with. Going forward, though, they were penalized 84 times for 743 yards. Bad football. You can't win. You can't do anything when you're not sustaining drives. When you're down the distance, it's always 3rd and 11, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20. You can't sustain drives like that. So a lot of things that they had to fix up. And as I previously just stated, with Raheem Morris, they have new coach, new quarterback, new philosophy. Kirk Cousins coming in, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I'm not going to beat y'all eardrums up with this. Ain't no way in hell I would have been giving Kirk Cousins all that damn guaranteed money. Kirk Cousins has one playoff victory. Okay? Now, I get it. Your mindset was, well, it's either Justin Fields or, Kirk Cousins. And I get it. Justin Fields isn't the passing quarterback, which I'll be touching on some of those Chicago Bears passing stats from last season in a minute. But I get it. He wasn't the passing quarterback that you expected or wanted. But at the same time, I just felt like what he could have been, maybe it was a poor man's Michael Vick experience, but it would have been an excitement in that building and not the false hope that I kind of feel like Falcons fans have. I hear Cousins talk about winning a world championship. How is that possible when this man doesn't even work on Tuesdays? So I don't know, but whatever. Arthur Smith, as I previously said, it was horrible. He turned Kyle Pitts into a left tackle. I know this because I played some fantasy football, and I obviously played some bets throughout the season. You all will definitely hear me speak on that. I definitely wager. I also have some stats coming out throughout the week and throughout the progression of the show, speaking on betting statistics and things and, over-under lines. But I'm a betting man. And anybody who knows me knows I'll definitely place a wager. A gentleman's wager is no problem. I literally had a nickname for Drake London last year. He was called Mr. 44 Yards. And that's because in Arthur Smith's offense, he was Mr. 44 yards a game. I am so glad that these young guys are finally going to now have an offensive coordinator and a coach that's going to allow them to really utilize their skill set so we can actually gauge if Atlanta has something or not. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you. We're kind of on the fence with Kyle Pitts. A lot of people think he's a bust, and that's because of fantasy numbers. I don't really get caught too much up in the fantasy numbers. I know sometimes your coaching and scheme plays a major factor. Drake London, what is he exactly? Is he Mr. 44 yards a game, or is he Mr. 75 to 80, which I think he could possibly be? Who's your number 2 receiver? It's definitely not Kadero Hodge. Bijan Robinson is great. Can he take the next step? And granted, the first step was a great step last year, but you're going to need him to be a little bit more efficient pass blocking, still effective in the passing game, still effective in the running game, but that pass blocking definitely has to get a little bit better. So it's going to be interesting to see a lot of that. And they're definitely going to need offensive linemen. You lost Matt Hennessy this year in free agency to the Eagles on a 1-year deal. You lost some of your guys. You still have Lindstrom. You still have Jake Matthews, but time's are ticking. And as I just stated previously in the last segment, replenishing the offensive line is crucial. It's always needed for you to make sure that you have the linemen that you need to make sure that the damn quarterback is upright. Because, again, you just gave guaranteed money to a quarterback coming off a torn ACL who is a pocket quarterback who has never been mobile. So you definitely need offensive linemen. Going into their free agency tracker, no real sexy names here. The 2 names that stand out to me the most, opposite Sans Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney and Rondell Moore. I think these were 2 of the most underrated low-key moves throughout the whole offseason. Darnell Mooney, even with Justin Fields, was a consistent, decent downfield threat. Rondell Moore is the gadget guy who can go deep, who can do the lateral reverse, who can do the halfback option, who can do the, wide receiver pass, the screen. He's multifaceted, Swiss Army knife, for lack of better words. That's something that this offense has also needed, because I feel like going into this year, Bijan Robinson, there's going to be a huge focus on limiting his touches and limiting his impact. So having guys like this in the passing game will be crucial. They re-signed Kentavious Street. They signed Eddie Goldman. Guys, defensive linemen they needed. These guys that helped them. I know Kentavious Street had played. He was with Philadelphia prior to the start of the season last year, but at this point a body. But they needed him. He was serviceable enough when they brought him back. Kind of shocked to see Kevin King, and shout out to Kevin King. I know he was battling some mental health issues. He was battling some family issues, and I never want to make joke or light of that. So shout out to you, brother. I hope everything's going well. I hope you're doing well. But having said that, he hasn't really played in a couple years. And Atlanta, being that desperate for a corner, they brought him in. So that kind of tells you a lot right there in itself. Touching on some more of the notes for them, we've also kind of iterated how the quarterback play was inconsistent and sucked. They were 13th in the NFL on 3rd down, 29th on 4th down, and 29th in the red zone, which... This is why it was crazy to me that you had analysts, well-respected, well-renowned, credentialed, blue-check Twitter analysts, ESPN, it didn't matter, ESPN, CBS, Fox, it doesn't matter, stating for a fact Desmond Ridder was going to show up because he played in Cincinnati, and it was a clusterfuck. And yeah, QBR 40, he passed for 200 yards a game. It just seemed like the moment was too big for him. Maybe he's a backup quarterback, which, those numbers scream backup quarterback to me. They don't scream starter. So hopefully now in Arizona, he'll get, some of the seasoning and polish he needs, and he can have a solid career as a backup, because he's definitely not a starter, And I don't like to write anybody off, because Geno Smith and countless other guys have proven we never know what may happen down the road, but I'm willing to bet several $100s, if not a few thousand, on it that Desmond Ridder will be a backup quarterback the rest of his tenure in the NFL. As you say, the defense has suffered for a lack of pass rush. Third in the NFL on third downs. What was interesting, they were fourth in the NFL in red zone defense. So Jimmy Lake has got something to work with, so they had a little bit more pass rush, a little bit more consistency, some aggressiveness, between the linebacker and that front seven all around. Yeah, they're going to be good. They're going to be good. But last but not least, the thing that I think really crushed them and hampered them going into last year, throughout the year, penalties. They had 84 penalties for 743 yards. There's no way you're going to win games when you're, just giving the other team opportunities to just keep pushing you back, so got to work on that. But again, hopefully with a new coaching staff, new regime, that'll be something that they work on, something that they change, something they implement so where that penalty is cut down. Falcons fans, you got some stuff to be excited for. I mean, I'm not the guy that would have given guaranteed money to a quarterback coming off a torn ACL, but I know technology has changed. Things are different. Kirk Cousins, we know if he's healthy, he's 4,000 to 5,000 passing yards easily, 30 to 40 touchdowns. Again, though, I don't know if it's about making the playoffs or I don't know if it's about winning championships, because I don't believe Kirk Cousins when he says things like, I'm here to win a world championship or world championships, however you coin the phrase. I don't believe you. You need more people. Shout out the Hove. Anyway, last but not least, we're going to wrap up the show with the Chicago Bears. Yes, the Chicago Bears. 7-10 last year. Rough year for the Bears. Rough year for Justin Fields, Matt Eberflus, and Shane Waldron and the crew. It just seemed like, from a distance, because I didn't get it, being honest, guys, as y'all can tell, I'm big on numbers. I'm big on stats. I like to definitely read up on the little intricate things that, most people would kind of look over or underlook, for lack of better words. I, from afar, kind of felt that Justin Fields had opportunities, but wasn't really given the full bereft of opportunities that the new quarterback coming in, Mr. Caleb Williams, will have. Having said that, getting Caleb Williams is going to be crucial for this team. The passing offense for the Bears was atrocious last year. I mean, it to give you an understanding, because I don't want to shit on Justin Fields. I want you guys to understand. I think Justin Fields, good mobile quarterback. His passing game is lacking, but I think your passing game will lack when the Bears' offensive line is, a turnstile, at the Metro in, New York. So, be that as it may, he ain't really had that much people blocking for him. That's why he had to run every damn play. 18th in offense. This team last year needed way better quarterback play, and the passing game suffered mightily, So what I can credit Justin Fields for being bad on, they were 27th in attempts and yards. That's just not getting it done. Again, I've been reiterating throughout this whole episode, and I've reiterated on episodes past. If you are bottom 5, that means you're garbage. Got to get it together. It ain't working. So, yeah. But what's ironic about that, though, were the Bears were 4th in average time per drive. So they were getting drives. And, again, Justin Fields' mobility, Darnell Mooney's deep strike ability, DJ Moore's deep strike ability. Sometimes you can just get a quick score. Sometimes you can just get the first down on the 3rd and 18 or the 3rd and 20 or the 3rd and 10 that you need. None of that was sustainable. So to give people raw numbers and facts, the reason why Chicago made this move, 27th in passing attempts, 27th in yards. You need way more production in today's NFL. This NFL where the offenses are averaging 30 to 35 points a game, where Patrick Mahomes is losing by 10 at any point in the game and comes back and win a game. This is all needed. So I understand why they made the move. I do think that you would have kind of made these moves and had Justin Fields there. I think a lot of people would feel comfortable about Justin Fields being there. But the way that city and that franchise was split on it, it had to be moved. He had to be moved. It had to be a move that needed to be made, for lack of better words. I pardon myself. Pardon me. Defense, they were ranked 20th. 25th in passing yards. That shit's not getting it done. You can't. There's no way in the world you're stopping anybody in the NFC. You're in that division. The Lions, the Packers. Kevin O'Connell was rolling out all types of bodies at quarterback and was getting 200, 300, 400 yard passing games out of guys. So that, for Chicago, that's not getting it done. They were also 25th in starting field position for defense, which means your back's against the wall. Offense, not doing well, i.e. defense, bad field position. Starting to see a theme there. That being said, they were also 17th in points. So again, they weren't hemorrhaging points, but they weren't really stopping people. And when you're not stopping people and you're hemorrhaging points, you're always on the field. It's going to affect your numbers. It's going to affect your overall play, your mental, your temperament. So, penalties. They were one of the, most heavily penalized teams in the league last year. To give you a good understanding, 99 penalties for 853 yards. Explains why both sides of the football struggle to sustain any drives and put a bunch of points on the board. So, you kind of really realize that Caleb Williams wasn't just the new face, the refresh, so everybody can say, hey, we're trying. It was like, no, we need him, and we got to really upgrade this offense because it stinks and it's not working. That being said, they were 29th in the league in third down defense, 31st in red zone percentage, which not getting it done, 30 sacks on the season, which is terrible. Clearly, which is going to lead me into my draft tracker, which I'll get into in a second. I think that's why they're going to have to probably pair a running mate with Montez Sweat, which is why they gave so much capital up to the Commanders to get Montez Sweat, because their pass rush was a dumpster fire. They don't have a pass rush. It's non-existent. 30 sacks for a defense, it's not getting it done. So, be that as it may, some things that they're going to definitely need to touch on and review, and it kind of gives you a insight as to why they made some of the moves that they made. I.e., the pressure is on Matt Eberflus. You've gotten away with murder. Again, another one like Brian Kelly. You've gotten away with murder. You blamed it on Justin Fields. It was easy. Justin Fields is not executing the offense the way we need. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. All I actually have to focus on is the defense. And, you and Shane Waldron are going to have to really, really, really show that y'all know what y'all doing this year, because I got bad news for you. If you don't get it done with Caleb Williams, I can promise you, you won't make it. You will not be there next year. So, that being said, do they make trades to acquire more picks? They only have 4 picks going into the draft. 2 in the first round, obviously, Carolina, giving them, and Carolina being the worst team in the league, and now de facto, Chicago has the number 1 pick. Great job, Carolina. In the first round, basically, Chicago has the number 1 pick and the number 9 pick. And I am a big proponent on that number 9 pick needs to be a receiver. I know they just got Keenan Allen in the trade. They're paying him $20 million. In all retrospect, knowing what Smitty just got paid, knowing what A.J. Brown just got paid, Michael Pittman, $20 million ain't really that much for a wide receiver in today's NFL. With that being said, though, you're going to need to still get a young receiver. You tried the Velus Jones experiment. They've tried these guys, the Cody Whites, the Kobe Whites. They've tried these guys, burners years before in the draft, where they've tried to get deep play threats. This is the year where you can finally get it and have some success. So I kind of think that 9th pick should be a wide receiver. That would be my inclination. But again, it's completely up to them. We'll see. Free agency tracker. Told you they acquired Keenan Allen already through a trade. DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift was my man's last year in Philadelphia. I loved the way Swift played. I kind of felt like they intentionally phased him out of the offense late in the year because they didn't want to pay him. But kind of sounds kind of stupid being that they paid Saquon Barkley. So I don't know. Maybe it's maybe that's just me in my head. I don't know. We'll talk about that on another day. But anyway, great pickup for the Bears. DeAndre Swift is a great running back. He's not a great running back, but he's a good running back. He's a guy that can run between the tackles, good passing game, good pass protector. So this is somebody that Caleb could definitely use, dump the ball off to, make plays. Gerald Everett leaving the Chargers, coming there. Another good, solid move for him. I see Chicago went to the Philadelphia well again, grabbing Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard had a career high in tackles last year. I believe he had 108 tackles. To me, it just seemed like Kevin Byard wasn't cut out for the Philly solid defense. Not that he played bad, not that he even was bad last year. And again, the career high tackles, he was a tackling machine. So I think him going to Chicago is a big plus for them. I think it's huge for their defense. I think defensively they've needed a guy like him, a thumper that can come back there and short tackler. They've missed this for a long while now defensively. So this I think is a great pickup for them. They re-signed Jalen Johnson. You lose him. That's one of your guys that you drafted, you brought in. You lose him, you don't cultivate guys like that. That sends a bad message to the locker room. Giants sends a bad message to the locker room if you don't pay your guys that you cultivate and are actually putting in the work. That being said, their top 30 visits. A little bit of a mixed bag because, again, they only have 4 picks. Only 4 selections in the draft, so it's kind of interesting to see how they were looking at it. Again, that's why I kind of think, i.e., they're going to be making some trades. They're going to try to acquire more draft picks throughout the process of the draft. Caleb Williams, obviously, we know he's going to be the first pick, so that's de facto, i.e., we know. Marvin Harrison Jr. was brought in for a visit. Malik Neighbors was also brought in for a visit. Roma Dunze was brought in for a visit. Brock Bowers has been in for a visit. Latu has been in for a visit. Dallas Turner. J.C. Latham, and also linemen Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon, and Graham Barton for Duke, and Tyler Guyton. So, yeah. Ultimately, you kind of see that they're looking at wide receiver or linemen. All things that they need. Keenan Allen's a little older, so you still need to replenish that. Well, you need linemen because the whole reason why Justin Fields was running for his life or the 2,000 yards, it wasn't because he was just shitty seeing the field and couldn't make proper reads and decisions. No, I saw him make the reads and decisions running a pro-style offense at Ohio State. So I know it's not that. The offensive line was Swiss cheese, and make a play. And that's what he did. So understandable why they're looking at linemen. Definitely makes sense there, and they're definitely going to have to address that going forward. Hope springs eternal for the Bears. Like I say, they're going to have Caleb Williams, so it's going to be interesting to see how the season is going to look for them and what potentially is going to happen because they're in a tough division. Having Green Bay and having Detroit there, it's not going to be easy for them. And guys, I want to thank you so much for sitting with me again, for enjoying this episode. Again, like, share, and subscribe for any of you guys that haven't already, or for those of you that are spreading the word. The show is growing. The fan base the feedback from all you guys has been incredible. I thank you so much. The genuine love and support has been there. Before we go, though, I just want to touch base and let you know the update for tomorrow's show. Tomorrow's show we'll be doing the Jets, Vikings, and Broncos to continue our 32 teams segment for preparing for the draft and offseason and review. We'll discuss some more of the NBA play-in tournament games. And we will definitely, over the course of the weekend, do kind of more of a live feed freestyle type of show. So that way, again, so you guys can be able to comment, get some feedback in on what you think and your opinion on certain sports topics. Again, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for your patronage and your listening time and wherever you may be. Have a blessed day. God bless and enjoy the rest of your day.